piece. So we're about to jump right in here to it. Five, four, three, two, one. Hey, welcome. Perry Jeffries here with Cash Flow Unlocked. Here's our conversation today. What is the most important financial decision you'll ever make? And I guarantee you it's probably not what you think I'm going to say. So I've been in the industry 20 years and individuals always ask me all the time, right? After they find out I'm a money dude or a financial dude, hey man, what's a good investment? Hey man, where should I put my money? Hey man, what's the best, move I should make? And a lot of times what they're looking for is they're looking for some type of stock. They're looking for some type of, play, some type of strategy. Is it crypto? Is it real estate? Like, and in the past, I would say this is, hey, the most important investment, the first place you should invest is in yourself and your financial literacy. But I'm now going to retract that, which I'm allowed to do because as we grow and evolve, we're allowed to change our mind and change our positions. I think that's actually a huge growth hack because so many people get locked in to think in a certain way that you're trying to get them to think differently is almost impossible. And I've gotten to the point in my life where I'm not going to argue that with anybody. I'm just going to speak my truth. And, for those individuals who have an ear to what I'm saying and it can be applied to their life, then so be it. But I'm just going to be super transparent and always just speak my truth. So here's the deal, y'all. Grab a pen and paper. I want y'all to have this one down. The most important financial decision isn't a stock or a house. Your most important financial decision is who you marry. Let me say that again. The most important financial decision you can make is who you marry. So here's the deal. From personal experience, having the right partner is an absolute game changer. An absolute game changer. And having the wrong partner will completely destroy your finances. So I know there's some single people out here, right? And it's like, okay, cool. Well, Perry, what should I be looking for? I'm going to give you that in today's training. I'm going to give you exactly what you should be looking for and incorporating our wealthy framework. And then for our married folks out here, not telling you to go and get a divorce. But what I am telling you is that you need to, if you're not in alignment with your spouse, then you need to actually sit down and get in alignment with your spouse. Because what could be dragging your road or dragging you down and slowing your road to financial freedom could be the person sleeping in your bed. And I know I'm gonna touch some people on this bad boy today. So it's gonna be a touchy topic, but it's a conversation that needs to be had. Okay, needs to be had. Okay, and let's get into this piece, right? So I'm recording this and sharing this story because yesterday, my wife and I had another closing. So last week we closed on another new rental property, and yesterday, which happened to be our anniversary, right, which is what prompted this training as well. May 5th was our 8-year wedding anniversary, right? And just so happened, we made some things happen as able to close on a cash out refi yesterday. So it was kind of cool. It's our wedding anniversary. We go to the closing table, we sign some documents and walk out with a 5-figure check. So not a bad day, not a bad, not a bad wedding anniversary, right? But here's the deal. Why this particular one was so special up until this point, I had been the primary signer or guarantor on our business, signing for the properties. My wife was finding them, she was knocking them down. Then, I would get to the signing table and we both would sign for the business, but I was the primary guarantor, right? With this particular signing, my wife was the primary guarantor, which was a huge win for us because that means we had got her credit score back up above a 700 and now she could sign. And because of the strength of her credit, we was able to get a significant, cash out to the tune of, 5-figure check. So that's a check with a comma and 2 numbers in front of that comma, right? So huge win for us. And it got me to thinking like, man, the fact now that we both can go and sign is going to allow us to move so much quicker and so much faster and so much more efficiently versus just depending on one person's credit. And it got me thinking like, man, this is the cheat code, right? Me and my wife being in alignment and be able to go out here and do the thing, right? So let's just jump into the information, y'all. So here's the deal. A spouse, the right spouse, can actually accelerate your wealth building, right? The wrong spouse can actually undermine it. When you have two incomes or you have two people in alignment, you can move mountains. When there's conflict and misalignment, it's going to jam you up, guaranteed. So let me kind of tell you a quick story here. Um, Back in the day, and I say back in the day, so we're probably talking over the past 10 years or so. My wife and I, before we got married, we moved in with each other to make sure that we like living with each other, right? So we got past that, got engaged, and got married. But when we first moved in with each other, I said, well, hey, I don't believe in having, I don't know what you have and you don't know what I have. That's not a team to me. That doesn't work in business and it's not going to work in this household. So we're going to share everything. So we're sharing our income, our debts, our credits, right? Our credit scores. We were sharing should we actually open up a joint bank account, right? So we was going through this process of opening up the joint bank account. And now we're looking at our monthly expenses because how we run our finances is that we put both of us put money into a joint account that pays the bills. We still have our separate accounts, right? Not to hide from each other, but to be like, hey, if I want to go out and buy fast food, I don't think the family should have to finance my fast food habit, right? If my wife wants to go out and do some shopping, she has her own money, and we have our own separate businesses as well. So it kind of takes care of itself from that standpoint. But point of the matter is this: my wife was going through, our cash flow and looking at the expenses, and she said, "Hey, babe, what is this, $500 payment right here?" And I said, "Oh, that's my car." She said, "Your car? It's $500 a month?" I was like, yeah. She looked in it, the car outside, yeah, right. She said, "No, how much you owe, how much you own that?" I said, "Well, I owe this." I think it was $10,000. She said, "Oh no, just pay that off." She wrote me a check to pay off my car. And I share this story because when I share this with the homies or the fellas, they mind blown. They like, "What? Your wife wrote you?" I said, "Yeah." Right. What I'm saying? And now keep this in mind. We weren't even married at the time. We had just made the decision that we were going to build together. And part of building together is not just, a spiritual or physical commitment, it's a financial commitment. So she helped me pay off my car, right? Which freed up an extra $500 a month in cash flow, right? And she's now made that money back 10 times over, if you will, right? But understand something: us sharing in the sacrifice and us being in alignment with our budget allowed us to move that much closer to our goals. So imagine right now, I see it all the time. I've been doing this for 20 plus years now. I see where one spouse don't know what the other one has and the other one doesn't know what the other one has, but yet they're saying, hey, we're trying to create generational wealth. Well, here's the deal, ladies and gentlemen. It is impossible to create generational wealth if you can't create today wealth inside the four walls of your home. Period, point blank. So you have to be in alignment. You have to absolutely be in alignment, right? So that was mind blowing to me, right? I remember telling the fellas like, "Yo, let me tell you just what happened." It's like, "What, man? My girlfriend would never do that. My wife would never do that." Right? So it's kind of one of those deals. It's like, "Ooh, I'm going to be able to build something special with this person because she's willing to go all in with me." Right? So I had to share that with you guys real quick. Another story I'm going to share here is, when I lost my job, right? So I share my story that, I had the highest income paying job I ever had in corporate America. It's the last job I had in corporate America. And I was making really good money. And on the July 8th, 2014, so over 10 years ago, over a decade ago, I got called into the office and they let me go. So for the rest of um, that year was crazy because that year I had already committed to doing a fitness show, right? So that was coming up. So I got fired from my job July 8th, 2014. I had a fitness show scheduled for September 27th. So I'm still dialed in on that, right? So getting ready to walk on stage. And I'm at this point in time starting to date my wife now, my wife Sarah. And I remember her showing up for me in a crazy way to help me get through the show, helping me get, my shorts and for my show, and helping me get exfoliated so I can get tan. That's a whole nother conversation. Yes, black folks still got to get a tan when they go on the show. And so that when the lights hit you, you know what I'm saying, the muscles can pop, in case you didn't know, for sure. Right. And, I'm hustling that year. We get through the show. She throw a surprise birthday party, the whole nine for me. And then we get close to the end of the year, and she asked me a question like, "Hey, I'm going on vacation, going to Jamaica for New Year's." I'm like, no, she said, "I'm going on Jamaica to Jamaica for New Year's, right? Are you coming?" I'm like, I don't know, right? My money is funny. I lost my gig. I'm burning through my savings and my investments, trying to stay afloat, pay my bills and things of that nature, right? And she said to me, she's like, "Yo, I didn't ask you if you could afford it. I asked you, are you coming with me?" So, yes, the first vacation that me and my current wife went on when we first started dating, she paid for me to go. So these things are happening, and right. So that first happened, then later on we move in with each other, and she paid my car note, and people wonder why I go so hard for my wife, right? Why I'm always, putting her on, what I'm saying, just elevating her up, because she helped me get through some of the toughest times in my life. Right. And I don't know how many others can say they've had that experience with their spouse. Right. Who you marry is the most important financial decision you will ever make. It ain't picking a stock. It ain't picking the right piece of real estate. Ain't picking crypto, ain't your tax advantages, right? Who you marry is the most important financial decision you will ever make. All right, let me break down here a couple more stories here. So here's a takeaway for you. When you marry for mission, not just emotion. Let me say that again. Marry for mission, not emotion. If you were going to battle, marry somebody that you have to have zero questions about how they're going to show up for you. That's like that's the foundational piece, right? So the butterflies and the love and, oh, he looks so good or she looks so good, right? We're all going to get older. We're all going to put on some weight, right? So some of that may go away. But marry somebody who is in full alignment with you, and somebody that you will want to go on a mission with, right? Somebody that you don't have to question whether or not they have your back. Someone that you don't have to, wonder what are they going to do in this situation. You have like, hey, you have to marry somebody that you can share your finances with. Right. And it's not even sharing your finances. If you're going to marry them, then your finances should become one. That's biblical in that sense. You know what I'm saying? When man and woman marries, you know what I'm saying? They become one, right? How are you becoming one and the up and the left hand don't know what the right hand has? That's crazy to me. But historically, that is very commonplace. I've seen it. I've seen it, over 20 years, right? So you have to, not only if you're going to marry somebody for the mission, but here's some things that go along with that. You have to have alignment in your values and your vision. Marry someone who aligns with your life goals, right? Your money habits, your dream, your family vision. These must mesh, right? Here recently, we started doing a Jeffries family financial meeting every Sunday. The twins, our daughters are now included in this. They're 15, about to turn 16. We have an agenda. We go over our family core values, right? We talk about, what debt or tax play we're going to make this particular week. We talk about, every week is going to be, every week is different. Some days we talk about estate planning. Sometimes we talk about banking and investing and things of that nature. So we have it broken up. This week we were talking about the cash out refi that was about to happen, and the money, the check we were about to get, and all of these things, right? So, in order to run this family unit, just like with a business, if you if you if you're in corporate America, right, and I say, okay, who runs the business? You're gonna be like, hey, the CEO. But the CEO is getting direction and insight from the CFO, Chief Financial Officer, and the COO, the Chief Operation Officer. Imagine if there was misalignment between those C suite positions. What in the world would happen to that business? It would crumble in confusion, where your household is no different. right? So let me tell a quick story and a couple stories, right? As I celebrate our eighth wedding anniversary. So after my wife and I we get married, right? So we got married in 2017, and that year, the year before, I had made some money in my business, right? I finally hit like six figures. The next year, I'm struggling, right? I feel like I'm working way more, two times more than when I was working the year before. But I'm making probably 30% less money. So I remember going to this coach that I had who was helping me write a book, which I still need to do. And I remember going to him and saying, "Hey, man, I need help. I need a second set of eyes to look at my finances and let me know what I'm doing." I was like, "I don't need that kumbaya. I don't need you to be talking to me about a whole bunch of personal growth and whatnot. I am working two times harder now than I did last year, and I'm making 30% less money. I know something is wrong." Couple takeaways from here, y'all. Go ask for help. Stop letting pride stop you from getting the assistance and the help that you need. All right, moving on. So, this particular coach, big shout out to my guy Austin and the family over at 2X. He's like, "Yeah, man, we can help you out, P. We got this program called 2X, right? It's a $10,000 ticket for 90 days of coaching. And our promise in 90 days is that we're going to help you double your income in 90 days." So I was like, okay. I said, that's, I'm trying to get my head wrapped around spending $10,000, right? Because I just said that my income is 30% less than it was the year before. So this guy is asking me to spend $10,000. But the mindset shift I had to make was I'm not spending $10,000. I'm investing $10,000 into my business, into a skill set that I will be able to use for a lifetime, right? That's what I realized I was doing. And the hesitation I had because I was thinking about spending money I didn't have versus investing to have the money that I didn't have, right? So I go to my wife and I say, "Hey, babe, got the opportunity to join this coaching program, but it's 10,000." And she's like, "Whew." I said, "Yeah." And she said, "Well, you go do whatever you think is best for our family. In the meantime, I'll cover the bills." And she gave me this famous quote. We still use it to this day. "Baby, I got you. I got us." It's more like, "I got you. I got us." That was one of the most pivotal moments in my career because that coach not only doubled my income, they actually increased my income by 5.75%. So I had over a 500% increase in my income. And I wouldn't have done that if I had not been married to a woman who had faith in me, that I was going to make a decision that was going to benefit the family and who wasn't going to judge me and be like, "Oh, well, we can't afford that, right? So we can't do that." Because we were in alignment. We were focused on growth. And sometimes you have to pay for growth. Matter of fact, that's a lie. If you want to grow, you're going to have to pay for it. You're going to have to pay for it with either time, energy, and or money. And usually all of the above, right? And she supported me. That that 90-day, engagement again increased my income by 500% and set me on a trajectory to be financially free before the age of 50. Okay. So again, who you marry matters, right? Her belief in our mission gave me permission to invest in myself. Let me say that again. I want to make sure y'all didn't miss this one. Her belief in our mission gave me permission to invest in myself. Whew. So unwavering support, right? You know, the decision to, spend this money was a game changer for us, right? So again, here's the deal. Your mission is more important than your comfort. Was it a tight squeeze for us? Well, not for long, right? Because again, we were able to move this needle super quick, but we did have to, make some concessions. Like, okay, we're not going to eat out as much, or we're going to slow down on here. Okay, we're not going to book a vacation here for a while. But again, that return on investment happened so fast that we didn't miss a beat. We were able to recoup that $10,000 in a month, and then we were off to the races, right? So alignment, right? Does your partner push you towards your destiny, or do they hold you back? When you go and you share your big, audacious goals to your partner, are they shooting it down like, you're not going to be able to do that? Or are they jumping in and be like, well, if this is the car we riding in, I'm saying, where's my seat? Let me put the seatbelt on. I'll run the GPS, right? So important, so important that you're checking for that alignment, right? So, does your partner push you toward your destiny, or do they hold you back? Marriage should be a launch pad for your purpose. I remember, y'all, when I first got into the industry, the financial industry, this was around 2003, 2004. And I had this older advisor come into my office, and he said to me, he said, "Hey, Perry, man, I've been watching you. And I've been watching you, and you're going to be okay. You're right. You're articulate. You're smart. People like you. You're going to do well in this business." But he said something to me that blew my wig back. He said, "You'll never hit he said, you won't hit your top earning potential until you get married." I never forget that. It was super random, right? Because I wasn't asking for advice. He just shared that with me. And I thought that would be different, right, when I had my daughters, because I had my daughters, and this switch went off. Like, man, I gotta make it for these kids, right? But it's a difference in, hey, I got to do this for these kids versus, hey, I have a partner and we're doing the thing together. And now I understand in 2025, from advice I received in 2000, let's call it 2004, 2005, 20 years later, 2 decades later, I get it now. You can accomplish so much more when you have 100% alignment with your spouse. When it's not her money and my money, it's our money, it's our mission, it's our vision. When you live by the words, I got you, I got us. All right, let's get into some more details here. So I'm going to give you guys some gems because I'm not going to hold you on here too long. Next piece, we're going to talk about game changer for us. So we have multiple businesses. I run the finance business, and the investment business, and the coaching programs and things of that nature. And one of my goals was to retire my wife, and we were able to do that. So I retired my wife from being a 20-year massage therapist at the age of 40. She still do a couple massages here and there, what I'm saying, just for like close friends and family, but she no longer works, this crazy work schedule, right? She might do a massage 1 or 2 days a week. And you know, while we are trying to figure out what her next, adventure in life was going to be, we landed on real estate. It was something that we were both interested in. It's something I had did in the past, right? And so we went through a course, right? Big shout out to Jesse Lang and Unlocked out there. So we went through a real estate course to learn how to invest in rental properties, right? And we went through that, and then we let my wife run with it, and she's been running with it. But here's the deal. I'm gonna break this down here for you guys. When we say alignment, this is what I mean. While I'm in the office recording content or meeting with clients and helping them, coaching our millionaire mentors, or, helping folks implement our wealthy framework into their finances, my wife is out looking for other properties to invest in, right? She's having conversations, saying about buying vending machines and things of that nature. She is running point on all of that, and it all ties together. So let me give you guys a quick hack in here. With my wife now being a real estate investor, she now qualifies for what we call real estate professional status. I'm not going to get heavy into the weeds into it because there's a lot of details that go to it. But long story short, because of her real estate professional status and her qualifying for it, this is now how the wealthy have been able to use real estate as a tax shelter because of what she does. And it's funny because, I was breaking this down to somebody the other day, and it's like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? We're getting anywhere between like $200 and $500 a month on a rental property. We're like, oh, well, how many do you have to become financially free? And I'm like, oh, you're missing this one. Like, I don't get excited about $200 a month, right? Especially on a rental property, because at any point in time, you could get a call like, oh my goodness, the toilet isn't working. Now that $200 that you had in cash flow is gone. The cash flow we get from the real estate is the least, is on the bottom of the financial benefit we get. At the top of the financial benefit we get is the tax benefit. Because of my wife's real estate professional status, the losses that we have in real estate, the passive losses that we have in real estate, now carry over from the real estate and now reduce my active income as a business owner and a coach and a CFO. So effectively, her acquiring properties reduces my taxes, which gets us to the point that we're almost tax free, like almost at a 0% tax rate. Last year, when I looked at our numbers, our tax rate came in around 4% all in, right? Right. And some of y'all are paying 25, 30, 35, 40% on less money than what we make, right? Because you're not taking advantage of these strategies. Again, this is why having the right spouse makes this happen. Because even if she was not a full-time real estate investor, there are certain ways with the tax code that by getting the real estate professional status, dealing with short-term rentals, which is a loophole, if you will, we could still get those benefits. So now we're able to write off all of these items from the real estate, and those write-offs and deductions now impact the income from our business, almost taking our business to a 0% tax rate. Whew, I wouldn't be able to do this without her, because I couldn't get real estate professional status working a full-time job or having a full-time business, which I do. Having a spouse who can jump in there, and again, y'all getting the theme here. Who you marry becomes a huge, impacts your finances in a major way. So with the rep status, right? The rep status from a tax advantage standpoint lets you write off passive losses against your active income. So we can actually do that, right? Another joint benefit of this, right? And a game changer is that from a tax standpoint, we file our taxes jointly, right? So because of that, now everybody go talk to your tax person or whatnot, and make sure that's still a good fit for you. Because sometimes there's some benefit to file, you know what I'm saying, separate. But we now had that joint benefit because we can now claim those losses together, right? Wife becomes this tax pro, and now her real estate division now allows us to get these advantages. Major, major, major. So it's a huge power move for us. So as we're acquiring properties, and our goal is to acquire at least one property a quarter, it's not necessarily that, oh my goodness, I'm gonna have, 10 properties with $200 a month coming in, right? No, it's we're going to have 10 properties that's going to give us give us this huge tax benefit on our business, which we are streamlining, right? And also to give us the appreciation and grow our net worth. And then, oh yeah, by the way, we get, some extra cash a month as well. So you have to look at the total economic benefit of this status, but go research it, real estate professional status, and reach out to us if you got some questions around the loopholes and things of that nature. But more importantly, make sure you get with a tax professional who actually does tax planning, who can get you going in the right direction, so you can see if using the strategy makes sense for you as well. So again, who you marry is the most important financial decision to make, because who I marry and our alignment is taking our tax rate almost down to zero. Woo! All right, stay with me here, y'all. Let me grab my dry erase board on this one. My whiteboard, I should say. I'm sorry. I'm gonna break down our wealthy framework for you in terms of marriage. So, am I sharing the right screen here? Let's make sure. Okay, cool. Everybody seeing the screen, whiteboard? Perfect. Okay, so let me break this thing down here for you. So you got your W. So your W Make sure I got my notes here. Bear with me. Okay. Everybody still seeing? Yeah, we're good. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So the W in the wealthy framework as applies to marriage is this. You first must work as a team. Having conversations about finances should not be awkward. You are a team. You are a business. You are a corporation. You need to discuss your finances, the good, the bad, and ugly, right? So you two against a problem, not against each other. Joint accounts or joint planning or whatever that looks like, but attack your goals together. The E. The E is going to be for encourage and empower, right? My wife encouraged me and empowered me to go out and hire my first coach, which was a game changer for us. And she continues to do that. And then vice versa, I do the same thing for her. I encouraged her to learn how to invest in real estate. I empowered her and said, hey, this is your thing. Go ahead and run with it. And this is not without making mistakes, y'all. So just to make sure we're crystal clear on that. Mistakes are still being made, but we are making mistakes and progressing, right? As I tell my daughters when we're playing basketball, you either win or you learn, right? So encourage and empower. Be each other's biggest cheerleader. In low moments, lift your partner up. Like, I'm saying, I do that with her the same way she did with me. And celebrating wins and bolstering, confidence and yields is going to give you huge returns. So, hey, ask yourself if you're married, are you encouraging and empowering your spouse? Are you receiving that from your partner? Because that's huge in this whole piece, right? A, alignment and accountability. That alignment, get that out there so I can see. That alignment is huge. You have to be in alignment, right? I think about the example of, when we go to our chiropractor, when to get adjustments and things of that nature, and how important it is for your spine to be in alignment. Because if your spine is out of alignment, it's going to cause, your body to not function as well as it can, right? You're not going to move as well as you can. You're not going to digest food as well as you can. You're not going to think as clearly as you can. And when you get that adjustment, pop, pop, and you get that alignment and you kind of get that release because your body's like, okay, we're back in alignment. We're back now going to be in our most optimized position. Oh man, my legs are moving better. My feet are feeling better. I can get my hands above my head. I'm thinking more clear is huge, right? And accountability, again, accountability, without accountability, how do you expect to truly, 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 truly move forward, right? So accountability is huge. So alignment and accountability, set shared goals and hold each other to them. I told my wife, she said, how many properties you want? I said, one a quarter for a year. She said, okay. And that's where she's been. After we closed on this other property last week, she immediately went to, hey, do I need to start looking for the next one? And yep, we're in a position. Go shopping for that passive income. Go shopping for that cash flow generating asset. Go shopping for that tax shelter. Yeah, babe, go do your thing, right? So, super important, right? So you hold each other accountable and then you have these check-ins. This is why we have our Sunday family meeting because we're busy. We got kids playing basketball and AU, what I'm saying? We got real estate. I'm working with, clients, right? Let's have a check-in and make sure we're good. Put some to-do, put some items on our to-do list and make sure we get them taken care of by next week. Super important. L, love and loyalty. Man, having that unwavering commitment through financial storms. Because guess what? Stuff is not going to go right all the time. This I would never sit in front of you and tell you that we've made every perfect decision, right? We're dealing with a scenario right now, what I'm saying, we're rehabbing one of our properties where like, ooh, We miscalculated these numbers. Okay, we're going to learn from it, deal with it, and move forward, right? But love and loyalty, unwavering commitment through financial storms. Loyalty, when she stuck with me when I was officially broke, right? You know what I'm saying? That was loyalty. And the love was, hey, do what you got to do what's going to help our family. I love you. I support you, right? This trust is the foundation for taking risk. And the deal is we don't want to take like uncalculated risk and be stupid and reckless. But hey, you know what? You want to start getting this real estate? Cool. That was a risk. We had never done real estate together. And now we're on our next property. We're on our next property, right? So again, love and loyalty is so, so important. Next one here. Trust and transparency. How do you expect to win if you're not being totally honest about money? No secret debts, no secret splurges, right? Trust is built when you both know the full picture because now you can plan in the light, not in the dark. You have to be transparent. If you have a spending issue, a credit card issue, you got to be transparent. You can't hide that, right? If shoot, if you just have an issue with just finances in general, you need to grow your financial literacy. Don't fake it till you make it, right? That's BS. No, hey, we need help. Go seek coaching, go get help, get mentorship. But trust and transparency are huge. The next H here, hustle and humility. I love this right here, right? Work hard together and stay humble and keep learning. When we took this real estate course together, I could have been arrogant, like, man, I didn't did real estate in the past. I had a $4 million portfolio. Did you catch that? I had one. I lost it, right? So I'm humble. Hey, I don't know everything. Things are a little different now than they were 20 years ago. Now, what are the new strategies, right? I had to develop a brand new skill set. My wife had to develop just a new skill set, right? So again, we are hustling, we're getting to it, we're not overthinking. We're getting enough information to make a decision to move on to the next step because you learn by doing, not by analyzing and making sure it's the right time to do it. It's like, no, this is what we're doing. Okay, let's go get it done. But we're humble enough to ask for help where we needed that help and continue to be, right? So we didn't know everything. We read, we got coaching, we stayed, humble and asking for help and seeking help, and we hustle side by side. So we moving and grooving together. And then the why, right? This is your why, right? What is our shared purpose? I learned something from my wife when we started doing this real estate piece that, yeah, investing in real estate, she knew that was a way that she could add to our family economy, right? But really, she's investing in real estate because she truly, in her hearts of hearts, wants to provide quality, affordable housing. Like that is her piece. My wife is a giver, right? Volunteering her time, donating to charities, right? Showing up to food banks. Like that's who she is as a person. So this is her purpose, right? She is providing quality housing to individuals who may have been living in poor housing, right? They may have had slumlords as their landlords, right? She's putting people in quality homes with new, like in some cases, new appliances and things of that nature. Probably best home that a lot of these people may have ever lived in. So that is how she is serving. So and when I realized that was her purpose, I was like, oh, I can get with that. Right? Yeah, there's a bunch of financial benefit, but the fact that we're serving the community by providing housing to families that they can be proud of when they walk into their home is an absolute gem, right? And we get paid well for it. So, yeah, that's huge for me. So, this why is know what is your purpose? Know why you're building wealth together, right? Are we building wealth together just because we can be like, oh, we got the bag, look at us over here? No, absolutely not. One, we're building this thing so our daughters can see it in real time and carry the torch. That's the generational piece. Is teaching them how to do this thing. But also, too, how many people can we impact? She know I have a desire to, fight and close this wealth gap, this crazy wealth gap that says that black and brown folks will have a zero median net worth by the year 2053. She know that's a passion of mine. She know a passion of mine is to help create enlightened millionaires where we can help people become financially free because they have more passive income than they have monthly expenses so that they can pour more into the world. I do believe in my heart of hearts that when people buy their time back and have the time freedom to do what's heavy on their hearts, that they will show up for other people in ways they can't currently show up with them for them now because they're, tied to their job or tied to their business. So we share that passion and that we want to serve and help. And we do that. So it's almost our duty and it's our duty to go out here and get the bag, not so that we can be like, oh, we got the bag. Oh, we can do this and we drive this and we live here. Like nobody cares about that. Hey, we're doing this so that we can actually empower others to do it. So we share that same purpose, right? So that's us breaking down the wealthy framework with respects to marriage. All right, let's close out of that. Let's get you guys finished up on out of here, you because we've been on this one for a while, but I just had to jump in here and share this story with you guys, right? So a couple things I do want to address for singles. If you're not currently married, you look and you haven't found your person. Date for destiny. Let me say that again. Date for destiny. Be intentional about choosing a partner. Look behind just how they look and their charm and right. And hey, is this a person I can go on a mission with? And you ain't got to apologize for expecting alignment and ambition and ethics and health and wealth and things of that nature. Be 100 about it. My wife would tell you that I think we're on our third date and I start mentioning things like ROI, like, hey, it has to be a positive return on investment if we're going to spend time together, right? Because I knew time was my limited asset. And if I'm going to spend time, I need to be spending time with somebody that I can build with. If I'm not able to build with you or help you build, or you help me build, or we build together, then why are we spending time together, right? So, anyway, super important there. For couples who are already married, level up your love, right? If you're already with somebody, elevate the partnership. Do a better job communicating your dreams, right? Money is just a tool, right? The end goal isn't to have a lot of money. The end goal is to have a fulfilled life, right? So make sure you're communicating your dreams with your person, right? I know my wife wants to go on 4 vacations out the year, so we plug those into the calendar, right? Um, she knows that I just love to eat good food, so that's plugged into what we do. But communicate your dreams, right? Grow together, go to workshops together, join our financial freedom boot camp together, right? What blows my mind is when I see a married person join the boot camp and not include their husband or include their wife. Why would you do that by yourself? Why don't you do this together so you're learning the same stuff so that you can then take that back and implement it, right? And support and stretch. Encourage your spouse's growth. So maybe that's one person going back and getting some education, or you getting with a mentor, or you're spending investing in the millionaire mentorship program, whatever the case may be. But support and stretch, right? One of the things that I learned very quickly, going back to the story when I hired my first coach, was there's a difference in an expense and a difference in an investment, right? And sometimes you have to stretch in order to invest in yourself. But if that investment can give you a positive return on investment, whether that's over 90 days, like in my case, or over 10 years, that information you'll be able to use whatever you learn for futures, years to come, and be able to pass it on to the next generation, right? So important, super important. Last couple things here I want to make sure I leave you guys with is the environment check. Remember that your partner, your spouse, is a huge part of your environment. Huge part of your environment. Strive to be a positive influence on each other's habits. When we do something in the house, we do it together. Hey, we're training. Okay, cool. We're training together. Hey, one person needs to go to a different kind of diet. Okay, we'll do it together. Hey, if one we're getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, guess what? Everybody's up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Like on some mornings, you can see my entire family, all four of us in the gym at 5:30 a.m. Right? We do it together. I got you, I got us. You in, we in, right? And then key reminder here, y'all, marry someone who makes you feel like you can conquer the world together. If you're not married yet, don't settle, family. And if you are, innovate and improve together. Okay. So just to sum this piece up, man, the right spouse turns your life into the legacy, right? Who you marry determines if your household will struggle or soar. And it's not about finding a rich partner, but a rich partnership in your mindset and how you think. All right. So here's the deal, y'all. We'll leave you with this, just as kind of like the call to action today. If you're married in a relationship, have a candid talk this week about your financial dreams and how you can support each other. If you're single, define the top three values you need in a future spouse in order to let you create wealth together, right? So that is what you have to do. All right, family. Whew. All right. If today's training gave you a new way to think about money, mission, and marriage, do me a favor. Like this video, drop a comment, right? About the biggest thing that you learned. And more importantly, share it with somebody else who needs to hear this, right? Because we're all either married or single. And if we're looking to create some financial freedom, create that generational wealth that you hear people talk about, the most important investment you're ever going to make is in who you marry. And remember, around here, it's not about working harder, it's about thinking smarter, right? It's about unlocking the cash flow and not chasing a paycheck. It's about learning how to think like the bank so you can finally stop living like the borrower. All right, y'all. Until next time, stay focused, stay free, stay cash flow unlocked. All right, family. And I'm going to stop recording.